So, you know how some stories just grab you by the throat and don't let go? This is one of those. October 31st, 2001. Yeah, Halloween night.
Spooky setting already.
Exactly.
Okay.
But this is real life, not some horror flick. Okay, picture this. Kodaikanal.
Ah, beautiful Kodaikanal. Misty hills, those eucalyptus trees.
Right? Serene, peaceful. Forest guards, Mugrasan and Roman, they're on patrol. It's quiet, just the sounds of nature.
I bet you could almost smell that crisp mountain air, the pine needles, maybe a hint of damp earth.
Totally. But then, bam, they stumble upon something that just throws the whole scene off. A body slumped against a tree. And it's not just the body itself, it's that unsettling stillness around it.
Yeah, like the forest itself is holding its breath.
It gets creepier.
It-
As they get closer, they notice the details. This guy's wearing expensive clothes, city clothes, totally out of place up there in the remote hills.
Yeah.
And then the marks on his neck. Strangulation. It's a scene straight out of a nightmare, right?
Like a jarring contrast, like violence intruding on this pristine landscape. You can practically feel the forest guards' unease. They're used to the rhythms of nature, not this kind of brutal disruption.
For a while, this dead guy, he's a total John Doe. Mystery in the mountains. But then the investigation takes this wild turn. I swear you couldn't make this stuff up. The name that pops up, P. Rajagopal,
No way, the P. Rajagopal.
the one and only, the Dosa King.
Wait, seriously? The Saravana Bhavan guy? I mean, I've eaten there a million times. It's like an institution.
I know, right? It's mind-blowing. This is a guy who built an empire on food, a billionaire, known for his philanthropy. And now he's linked to a murder, a brutal murder in the middle of nowhere. It just doesn't compute.
It's like this massive disconnect. He's the face of delicious, comforting food, feeding millions, and then this dark, violent side emerges. How does that even happen?
And that's exactly what we're going to try to figure out today. How did this culinary icon, this Dosa King, end up entangled in such a messed up story? This isn't just about a crime, it's about ambition, the kind that goes too far, and about the dark secrets that can hide beneath success, even beneath a facade of generosity.
It's a story that really makes you question everything, like how well can we ever truly know someone?
We've gone deep into this case, looking at every angle, piecing together timelines, trying to understand the people involved. It's a story of ambition, obsession, and ultimately tragedy.
To really get this whole thing, you have to go back to the very beginning. Like, where did this guy come from? What made him tick?
Okay, so rewind to 1947. India's on the verge of independence. There's this air of hope, a new beginning. And in a small, dusty village, 10 days before India gains freedom, P. Rajagopal is born. Even that timing, it's like, I don't know, symbolic somehow.
Like his life was destined for greatness, right? Or at least for something big. But his beginnings were anything but grand. Born into a Nadar family in Tuticorin district, a community known for toddy tapping. These guys were struggling, facing real poverty.
Yeah, we're talking scarcity here. Not enough food, clothes patched up over and over again. Education, forget it. His family couldn't afford that. By the time he was a teenager, he was hauling sacks of grain just to help his family survive.
It's hard to imagine, right? This guy who'd later be surrounded by luxury, he started out with practically nothing. It makes you think about how those early struggles shape a person.
Totally. He must have had this drive, this burning desire to escape that life, to build something better.
A fire in his belly.
Literally, like that astrologer later said. We'll get to that. So at 21, he ditches the village and heads to Chennai. Big city, full of possibilities. He scrapes together whatever he can and opens this tiny grocery store in Kodaikanal. It's called Murugan Store, named after, you guessed it, Lord Murugan. Even then, he had this thing about quality. His slogan was, quality, high quality. He wasn't messing around.
I can see him there in that little shop, working his tail off, making sure everything was just right. It's like those early years that focus on doing things well. It laid the foundation for everything he'd build later.
And it's around this time he gets married to Valiamal. She's kind of in the background of this whole story, but she must have been a rock for him in those early days.
Yeah, the quiet force behind the scenes. So he's got this little grocery store, he's married, it seems like he's on the right track. But, ambition doesn't just stop.
Right. So he opens the second store in KK Nagar. Things are looking up. But then there's this turning point, almost like fate steps in. One day, a customer complains about, get this, the lack of decent restaurants in the area.
Really, that's what sparked the whole Dosa King thing, just a casual customer complaint.
That and a little nudge from destiny. Apparently, Rajagopal goes to see an astrologer, and the astrologer says, fire, my boy. Your fortune lies in fire.
I mean, talk about a sign, right?
It's like something clicked. That fire, it wasn't just about cooking, it was about his ambition, his drive to create something big.
The fire of entrepreneurship. So December 14th, 1981, he opens the first Saravana Bhavan. Not in some fancy part of town, but in a more, everyday kind of place.
He was taking a risk. Eating out wasn't that common in Chennai back then, especially not for middle-class families.
But he had this vision. He wanted to elevate South Indian food, make it an experience.
And he was obsessed with quality. The dosas had to be perfectly crispy, the sambar, the chutneys, all made with the best ingredients, no compromises.
He didn't cut corners. Like, instead of using regular chilies, he insisted on sourcing Guntur chilies, the really fiery ones, and for the tamarind, it had to be from Tungkur, known for its tanginess.
He was a stickler for detail, and it paid off. People loved the food, the atmosphere, the whole experience. Saravana Bhavan became a hit, especially with families.
And it wasn't just the customers he treated well. He paid his staff more than other restaurants. Gave them benefits like free haircuts, soap, even nail clippers.
Yeah, he earned that nickname, Anachi, which means elder brother. He treated his employees like family, and they were incredibly loyal to him.
It created this whole culture of respect and dedication. It's like that good energy translated to the food and the service.
And the success just kept snowballing. Saravana Bhavan expanded all over Chennai, then to other cities in Tamil Nadu, then across India.
It became a national phenomenon. People would line up for hours to get their dosa fix.
And then, boom, he goes global. London, New York, Dubai. Saravana Bhavan was everywhere. He was this culinary superstar, the Dosa King, living the dream.
And he played the part too, the white veshti, that humble, saintly image. He was the self-made man who'd come from nothing and was now feeding the world.
And he was genuinely philanthropic. He funded schools, provided life insurance for his employees, gave generously during festivals like Pongal.
So you have this picture of success, generosity, a man of the people. It's a great story, right? But here's the thing about stories. There's always another side, another layer.
Right. And this is where things start to get really dark. We're going to shift gears now from the bright lights of Saravana Bhavan to a small town called Vedranyam, about 400 kilometers south of Chennai.
Different world, different vibe.
Enter Jiva Jyothi. Her family is struggling. Her father's a salt trader, but his business goes belly up. They're in debt, barely scraping by.
Desperate times, right?
They decide to move to Chennai, hoping for a fresh start. And wouldn't you know it, Jiva Jyothi's father lands a job at Sinera. You guessed it, Saravana Bhavan.
Destiny has a funny way of playing out, doesn't it? And the guy who gives him the job, Anachi himself, Rajagopal. At first, it seems like a blessing, a real stroke of luck. Rajagopal seems like this kind-hearted benefactor, helping this struggling family get back on their feet. He even loans them money, encourages them to deposit their savings with him.
And things do get better.
Yeah.
Jiva Jyothi's father works hard. He becomes an assistant manager. They start to feel like they can breathe again. And Jiva Jyothi, she's blossoming into this beautiful young woman. People describe her as having these striking eyes, a captivating smile.
But here's where Rajagopal's interest in the family starts to take a turn. It goes from helpful to, well, something else entirely.
He starts giving Jiva Jyothi's mother gifts, a bag of good rice here, a gold bangle there. And his gaze, the way he looks at Jiva Jyothi, it's intense, lingering. Not in a fatherly way, if you know what I mean.
Creepy, yeah. Like there's an undercurrent of something else, something possessive. It's like his benevolence is morphing into something much darker. And then Prince Shantakumar enters the picture.
Ah, Prince. He's a math tutor, hired to teach Jiva Jyothi's brother. Nice guy, good sense of humor, intelligent. He becomes close to the family, especially Jiva Jyothi.
But Rajagopal sees him as a threat, a rival for Jiva Jyothi's attention.
Rajagopal warns Jiva Jyothi's father, tells him to keep Prince away, but they don't listen.
Bad move. Rajagopal doesn't take kindly to being ignored.
Oh, he retaliates, and he hits them where it hurts. He reclaims the house he helped them buy, and Jiva Jyothi's father suddenly loses his job at Saravana Bhavan.
Talk about a power move, right? Like, you defy me, I'll crush you.
It was ruthless. Jiva Jyothi's father ends up having to go work in Malaysia, leaving the family vulnerable. And Rajagopal seizes his chance. He starts calling Jiva Jyothi's mother constantly, pretending to be concerned. But it's clear he's got his sights set on Jiva Jyothi.
Classic predator move, right? Isolate the target, make them dependent. But Jiva Jyothi, she's a strong woman. She's not about to be controlled.
She's got guts. April 28th, 1998, she elopes with Prince. They get married in a small ceremony, determined to build a life together, free from Rajagopal's influence.
It's a bold move, a big screw you to the Dosa King. They settle down in Kodaikanal, trying to live a normal life. Jivajyoti even starts a little travel agency.
But life throws him a curveball. Money gets tight. And, against her better judgment, Jivajyoti reaches out to Rajagopal for financial help.
Oh no! Back into the lion's den.
Big mistake. But desperating can make you do things you wouldn't normally do, right? Rajagopal agrees to help, but of course there are strings attached. He demands repayment in installments, and get this, he wants her to perform rituals in Vellore, a town known for its temples and mysticism, for 5 consecutive Fridays.
It's like he's trying to exert control over her through these rituals, like some kind of dark magic.
Yeah, it's creepy, and things escalate quickly. Rajagopal's obsession with Jivajyoti is now in overdrive. He showers her with lavish gifts, silk saris, jewelry, but she doesn't want any of it.
It's not about the gifts, it's about possession, right? He's trying to buy her to control her.
He's stalking her, his car's always parked outside her travel agency, his goons are lurking around, she's living in fear.
It's like he's closing in, tightening the net. Then Jivajyoti gets sick. This should be a moment of compassion, right? But for Rajagopal, it's an opportunity.
He takes her to a hospital, but then he does something truly messed up. He rigs medical tests to make it look like Prince is HIV positive.
Whoa, that's beyond messed up. It's pure evil. He's playing mind games, trying to break her spirit to make her doubt Prince.
And it doesn't stop there. He starts spinning these elaborate stories about black magic and curses, claiming Prince is under a spell, and that he, Rajagopal, is the only one who can protect her.
He's trying to brainwash her, to isolate her from Prince, and then comes the ultimatum.
He demands that she leave Prince and become his third wife. It's not even veiled anymore. He wants her, and he doesn't care what it takes.
So what do? How do they escape this nightmare?
They try to run. They attempt to flee, but Rajagopal's men catch them at a bus stop. They drag Prince away and beat him brutally. It's horrifying. Rajagopal gives her a choice: marry him or Prince dies.
That's just chilling. He's using Prince's life as leverage.
Somehow, they manage to escape again. They go to the police, file a 30-page complaint detailing everything.
Yeah.
But Rajagopal, he's powerful, he's got connections, the investigation stalls.
The system's failing them. They can't get justice. They're forced to go into hiding, living in fear.
They're desperate. Then this guy, Daniel, comes along. He's a local tough guy. Claims he can help them file another complaint, maybe even protect them.
False hope.
Yeah, tragically. Daniel turns out to be a snake. He betrays them, hands them back to Rajagopal.
I can't even imagine that feeling. The utter despair.
It's a nightmare scenario. Rajagopal takes Jivajyoti to this remote village, forces her to undergo this bizarre cleansing ritual. It's all about control, about breaking her will.
Meanwhile, Prince, he makes a desperate run for it, tries to escape, hoping to get help to save Jivajyoti.
But it's too late. Rajagopal's men hunt him down. And in Kodaikanal, on that Halloween night, they find his body. He's been strangled, just like that first victim.
A life extinguished because of one man's twisted obsession.
It gets worse. Rajagopal forces Jivajyoti to marry him. It's not a real marriage. It's an act of domination, pure and simple. She's completely broken.
While he's out there celebrating this sham marriage, her family, they finally take a stand. They flee back to their village and file a first information report, an FIR. This time, the authorities can't ignore it.
The walls start to close in. The police arrest Rajagopal and Daniel. It's huge news. Everyone's shocked. This beloved Dosa King accused of murder. His first wife, Valia Mal, she defends him publicly, says he's innocent. The whole mess.
But then they find Prince's body. The evidence is undeniable. The trial starts in 2003. Can you believe while all this is going on, Rajagopal is still expanding his business, opening more Saravana Bhavan?
Arrogance, right?
Yeah.
Like he's untouchable. In 2004, he's convicted, but only of culpable homicide, not murder. He gets 10 years, which seems way too light.
Thank goodness for appeals. Right.
Right. The police appeal the verdict, and in 2009, the Madras High Court steps in and says, nope, this is murder. They sentence him to life in prison. Finally, a sliver of justice for Prince and Jivajyoti.
But of course, the story doesn't end there. This is P. Rajagopal, the Dosa King. He's not going down without a fight.
Oh no, he uses every trick in the book to delay his sentence. Appeals, claims of health problems, he even gets bail for like 10 years.
This system, it can be frustratingly slow, especially when you're up against someone with power and resources.
It's not until March 2019, almost 20 years after Prince's murder, that the Supreme Court finally says, enough is enough. You're going to jail.
Finally.
But even then, he tries to weasel out of it, checks himself into a hospital, claiming he's too sick for prison.
Unbelievable. But guess what? He doesn't get away with it entirely.
Nope, fate has other plans. July 18th, 2019, P. Rajagopal dies. Still a free man, technically, but he doesn't escape the shadow of his crimes.
Justice delayed, but in a way, justice served.
I know what you mean. But for Jiva Joshi, it's a hollow victory. The damage is done, the scars are permanent. She ends up settling in Thanjavur, starts a small tailoring shop.
Quiet life, away from all the chaos. A chance to rebuild, to find some peace.
And Saravana Bhavan, it's still around. People still line up for those dosas. But you can't separate the food from the story, can you?
Nope. The success, the empire, it's all tainted by this darkness.
It makes you think, right? About the facades people build, the secrets they hide, how someone can be both benevolent and utterly ruthless.
It's a reminder that human nature is complicated, that good and evil can exist side by side.
And that even the most successful, the most seemingly untouchable, can be brought down by their own demons. So what do you think? Can you ever really separate the art from the artist?
That's the question that lingers, right? It's something we all have to grapple with because, let's be real, we all have our favorite artists, our favorite creators. What happens when their dark side comes to light?
It forces us to confront our own values, to decide what we're willing to overlook, to support.
It's not an easy answer, but maybe, just maybe, by grappling with these tough questions, by acknowledging the complexities of human nature, we can start to hold people accountable, to demand better, not just from the Dosa Kings of the world, but from everyone.
Food for thought, literally.
Exactly.